Hello and welcome to the Megavision Show, episode 109. I am Chris Powell, and joining me this week is Sam and Alicia. How's it going?
It is going good. How are you doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad. Alicia, how are you doing?
It's going.
I hear you. We are going to have Alex, who is one of our new stream team leads or editor, joining the show here in a little bit. He's just running a little bit behind. But we are on a tight window, so hey, the show must keep rolling. But he's going to be joining us a little bit, and we got some interesting things to discuss with him. And because of that, we're going to skip our kind of like what we've been playing and what we've been watching. We're going to push that to kind of towards the end of the show. And we're going to just kind of run through our intros, and then we're going to get into the news because we've got a lot of good news that we want to get to. And Sam really wants to talk about Callisto Protocol. Isn't that right, Sam?
Oh, you better believe it. I want to make sure I give all the other games coming out this week a fair shake, because obviously a lot of the games coming out this week have a lot of dedicated fans. We've been covering a couple of them quite a bit here on Megavisions. But Callisto Protocol, that's my baby. I'm the horror guy. I've been waiting for this game all year since I found out about it, which it's crazy because when I first found out about it, I was like, wow, I have really been sleeping on this game. From here on out, I am following this religiously. So I've been on that. So super excited to talk about that. But yeah, I don't know if you wanted to talk about something else real quick, or if you want me to just jump into this.
Go ahead and tell. We'll still go into like what we've been up to and what we've been doing, because I'll tell you what. I've heard from listeners that they've been really enjoying the paranormal and the ghost hunt discussion. So
okay,
they want to know what's new there, Sam. So we got to go there. Tell us what you've been up to with all things horror and paranormal.
Okay. So I have been still working on editing that the same video from before, but going through finding some evidence and then talking to Trevor, who's the lead investigator. One of the orbs that we had caught is insane. So on my camera, I'm recording them doing an EVP session, recording some audio. And they're sitting on the couch, and out of nowhere, the orb just comes right up from like the bottom by this coffee table by the couch, and it almost looks like it's coming towards the camera. Well, Trevor had a stationary camera positioned way back in that other room, picking up everything that was going on in the room we were in, and he sees coming up from where the couch is at, the coffee table area, he sees an orb, and it just launches right into my chest. So I can't. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. What's so weird too is we have a team of experienced mediums and paranormal investigators, and who do the ghosts like to mess with? They love to go after me. It's every single time.
Man, so when that happened, did you realize that happened? And if so, did you feel anything?
No, I just saw it. I did see it live. I was like, oh wow, there's an orb, but I didn't like see what was going on. But no, that's the weirdest part, is I didn't feel anything. And both Missy and Bob, who are the other investigators with us, they had both had experiences where they were touched. At one point, Bob had his shirt pulled, and at another point, Missy got her hair pulled. And it was so weird because a lot of the times the orbs were like circling me, and they caught it another time when we were in the office. And then they asked the REM pod a bunch of different questions, and it only answered a few of them. It answered that it died in a fire. Whoever it was, whoever the spirit is, said that they died in a fire. And then the other thing is they're like, do you like Sam for some reason? You seem to be circling around him. And it just went off, like beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, oh, great. It's always me, isn't it? And then, yeah, they love to go after the camera guy.
I will say, man, that's wild. You'll have to let us know, because I've heard that other people who've experienced like orbs passing through their bodies have experienced like health effects from it.
yeah.
I was reading a book called Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. And it's actually a pretty fascinating book. But it talks a lot about orbs and them interacting with like people and the human body and some of the effects it can have. And some of them can be kind of wild. So it's kind of spooky stuff.
Actually, now that
you might want to wave it around your area for a while.
Oh yeah. Well, we're always really safe about that too when we go on an investigation. But interestingly enough, now that you mentioned it, the one interesting thing I'll say is when we were in the basement and on camera, we had, and you would think that it would be dust particles, but the way they were moving, they were very clearly orbs, and there was tons of them. And the moment you go down into that basement, you instantly feel dizzy, nauseous, like you're drunk, and you feel like you need to step outside and get some air because you're gonna vomit. You just feel like the world's spinning going into that basement. So that, now that you mention that, and I'm correlating that together, that there might be something more to that.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
I want to jump into some game stuff here soon, but I do know if a lot of you guys are real interested in the paranormal investigations that I've been on. If you go to Facebook and look up Rogues Hollow Paranormal Society, you can see the last one that we did in East Sparta, where we were actually able to capture the name of the spirit on EVP, and we recorded some shadow figures and different things of that sort. But that's Rogues Hollow Paranormal on Facebook if you want to see any of the ghost hunting stuff.
Yeah, send me the link to that, Sam, and I'll drop it in the show notes for the episode too, and we'll link it.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, because I haven't been on Facebook in a minute, but
no worries. But we'll figure that out. We'll make it easy for the listeners as we can. So
perfect.
That's awesome. What else has been going on with you? What else have you been doing?
So very briefly, I've actually just today even I finished the script for my first feature film, at least a draft of it. There's going to be changes, and going along with that, I bought some new camera gear. Got some better stuff for cinematography, and new camera and lens to go with that. So I'm planning a feature film right now, probably looking to fundraise next year, shoot that in 2024.
Wow, that's awesome. Whenever you're ready to share more details about it, you'll have to do it here, because
I will
hear more about it for sure.
I will. The only thing that I can say, for the listeners, if you're interested in the plot, it is a crime drama, and it is about a hitman and his victim who must reluctantly work together after being trapped by a dangerous cult.
Interesting. Wow, there's a lot going on there. A lot to unpack. Okay.
The hardest part was keeping all the multiple timelines together.
Oh man, sounds like that's going to be a fun project. I can't wait to hear more about it.
Oh, I'm super excited about that. But that's all I can share for now. That's I'll keep you guys updated as I move forward through pre-production. In the past, I've done a couple of short films. This is the first feature though, and I want to do this right. I don't want to rush anything. That's why I've already set it in place that I'm not picking up a camera and shooting anything until 2024, because I want to make sure that everything is set in place and done as properly as possible.
Yeah, I respect that. There's nothing I hate more than trying to start a project when you're just not properly ready, even just from an equipment standpoint or anything else, and you're just trying to kind of make do on the fly, and it's frustrating, and it really can wreak havoc on the creative process, I think. So I think doing that the right way and just ensuring you have everything ready and the right equipment and all of that to begin that project, I think that's the way to go for sure. So I think you're doing it the right way. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And then lastly, only real big thing I've been up to over this past weekend, we had for those of you who don't know, I also work as an actor at a haunted house, and we had our end of the year banquet at Factory of Terror, and I picked up a Blood Award for my show.
Awesome.
Which is it's fitting because I actually bled during the season. I cut my finger because a customer slammed the door on me when I was going back into the show and cut my finger open real bad, and I'm running through the haunt, gushing blood, trying to find a manager to give me a Band-Aid. So it's a fitting award for me.
There should be like some sort of like like the military. We get the Purple Heart award if we're wounded in combat and everything. So maybe they should do something like that, like a Black Heart or something you get if you're in line of duty there. That would be fitting, I think.
I think so. I'm happy this year they had trophies. Last year they were just certificates. This year they had trophies, and I don't have a lot of trophies. So if I get a trophy, I'm pretty excited about that. It's a silly thing, but I love it feels good.
Oh, for sure. You could sit that, on your shelf, and you'd be proud of that. You bled for that award. You deserve it.
Yeah. So super exciting stuff.
Awesome. Well, Alicia, what have you been up to?
It's been kind of a strange week. I will say that much.
Okay. Interesting.
I know, right? I usually have the boring week. So, we have a problem around our area right now with cats. As you guys know, I don't know that our listeners know, but as you guys know, we've done some fostering in the past. And because of the pandemic, a lot of people just abandoned their animals around our area. And so we have had an increasing number of cats lately. And recently, within like the last 3 weeks or so, we have spotted 4 tiny little fluff balls running around. And there's one that appears to be possibly catchable, and the rest of them run like bats out of hell. And they're adorable, but we can't get close to them. And this is a problem because, well, we already have a ton of cats around the house. And so I've been trying to coax the one because it keeps coming up on the porch and like kind of looking in the house. And it's like, you can come in because maybe if you do, we'll finally be able to catch these silly things. The bigger problem around our area is the fact that our shelters and our fostering system and everything is extremely out of control right now. Our shelter, at last count, I believe they said they had 136 cats in
I
their.
think that's a problem like nationwide, isn't it?
Yeah. And so they can't take any more. Yeah, it is. It's just a huge problem. And so they can't take any more in right now, which means that even if we do catch these little buggers, I don't know what we're going to do with them. We have like 15 outside right now that we're feeding, and most of them are feral. We do have 2 of our bigger cats, but they're fixed, and it's fine that they come and go in and out of the house, so they're fine. But the rest of them are all feral, and they're not fixed. And so it's like this gigantic problem of figuring out what do you do with them even if we do catch them. We only have a mobile spay and neuter clinic that comes around twice a year for a weekend, and it serves the entire county. And so that's like impossible. So if any of our listeners has like advice on what to do with these adorable little fluff balls that we really don't want around the house right now, I'm so happy to hear it. So I love our kitties, I really do, but we can't have any more. It's just kind of crazy. And they're adorable. They really are. They're so cute. But it's getting cold, and so I worry about them. It's like. So, and then I guess the other big thing that happened was, and I know this was nationwide, we had our Civil War football game this weekend. And boy, howdy. So I'm in Oregon.
You're a Civil War? Okay, explain that.
Civil War. It's Civil War football weekend, right? And I'm in Oregon, and so we have the Oregon Ducks and the Oregon Beavers. Now, I have been a Beaver fan my entire life. Ironically, when I left college a few years ago, I actually got accepted to Oregon, the University of Oregon. So I would have been a Duck had I gone.
Okay.
Which which is like really, really weird.
Sounds so weird to say, doesn't it?
Right. It feels really weird to say. I would have been a duck, but I wanted to be a beaver. The problem was that they didn't offer what I was looking for in a program at OSU. So it's just not even something I could consider. But so there's always been this kind of like weird jinx that's happened for quite a while. It used to be that if whoever had home field advantage typically won the game. And so you saw this kind of, because they swap back and forth, every other year kind of thing. And so you saw this healthy rivalry going on, right? And then about 10 years ago, it just started being dominated by the Ducks, unfortunately. Which, I mean, it was during the Mark Mariota era, which he's, fantastically
he's
amazing.
Out. Yeah, he's great.
He's amazing. If you can catch your own throw down just, oh my gosh. It's like, I actually got to watch him play a game, and it was just incredible. So, yeah, he's amazing. But right around his time, the Ducks started dominating. And it's not that much fun because our state takes it really seriously. And people get really angry about things. It was like, this is just not fun. So this year it was held at OSU. And of course, everyone was like, well, it's going to be a blowout. The Ducks are going to win, obviously, because the Ducks always win. And that's not what happened.
Oh, okay.
So it was fine until halftime, as far as if you were a Duck fan. They were blowing it out. And the Beavers were getting, the refs were calling them left, right, sideways, upside down, inside out. It was just an absolute, disaster. They couldn't breathe without somebody throwing a flag at them, kind of thing. I was like, this is just not right, right? And everybody knows it. You know what it looks like when the refs are being paid. I mean, you just do. Or when they favor one side over the other. It's just, it's not a fun game to watch. Well, apparently the Beavers decided they didn't really give a damn about whether or not the refs were going to do this. They were going to win this game. So they were down by 20 points at halftime. They went in and they came back out and they stomped the Ducks. So badly. It was just fantastic. In fact, in a very short period of time, they scored 20 points. And the Ducks had no answer for it whatsoever. And so they won the game, which they haven't won in forever. They won it. It was 38-31, I believe, was the final score. And of course, the fans are really excited, so they rush the field and everything like that. Well, apparently one of the players from U of O, from the Ducks, got angry, and he threw a swing at one of the fans on the field and knocked his hat off. And it gained national attention because it was like, your fan, the team's fans are celebrating on their field. They kind of have that right to do that. They weren't causing destruction or anything like that. And you got pissed off and you took a swing at him. And so now there's this whole thing going on where they're investigating what happened on all of that. It's like, can you just let him have, 5 seconds of, hey, we finally won this game kind of
I've never met a nice duck in my life. So,
Oh,
like me one bit.
Actually, there's quite a few up there that are, I mean, the campus is really nice and there's some really nice people. But as far as if you're talking about like wild ducks, no, I can't stand them. They're scary.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about the animal.
Yeah, I'm terrified of ducks, honestly. They're mean. Oh, my goodness. So apparently they decided they were going to be mean at the, sore losers at the end of this kind of thing. And it's like, come on, guys. You have a legacy of winning. So they won, one game in the last decade. Can't you just, let them have their victory? And maybe that's just because I'm a Beaver fan, and so I'm saying that. But yeah, it was an interesting. So yeah, now we're in national headlines because they're investigating what happened during that whole thing. So
wow.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. So,
Wow,
wild stuff there. I want to introduce Alex. Also, he has joined the show. Alex, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good. Finally turned the corner on this cold, which I'm happy about because it's been kicking my butt for the last couple days.
You sound great.
I definitely sound better. If anyone watched my stream on here last night, it was a struggle. It was actually a big struggle. I got about an hour and then my voice gave.
Oof.
Ooh.
That's not good.
So, yeah. So I'm doing much better today, though. Kind of a good night's sleep. Knocked it mostly out, but I'm still, I'd say I'm about 70, 80%.
Well, we'll take it. We'll take 70, 80% Alex for sure.
Yes.
But being that, I think it's your first time ever on the show, Alex, can you introduce yourself to the listeners real quick and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to?
Sure. I'm one of our freelance writers, reviewers, news article writers, and streamers. I go on Tuesdays. I more tend to focus on the streaming side of newer stuff that's coming out. And my life pretty much has been really crazy the last couple of weeks. I've barely had time for gaming, and all that has been towards Sonic Frontiers and getting that 100%. Come on, Alex. Completion review that we put up on the site this week.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
Yeah, so that's really what my gaming has been for the most part. I tend to lean more towards retro, indie, and a lot of what Sega does, where I like games that have a bit of a linear standpoint to it, but if you're going to go open world, I don't want it to be too big, and yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because once you go open world, there's no going back. You know, a lot of times it can just be kind of overwhelming, especially if you're just wanting a more, you know, of a more relaxed or linear experience. I totally get that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things I didn't really get into this as much in the review, but I think Frontiers hits that nice sweet spot of it's not too big, but there's enough to do.
Right.
To where it's not overwhelming. And, you know, it's not like the one I always do as an example is like what Ubisoft has done over the last couple of years, where all their open world games just have so much in it and they're so big. And if you cut down at least 50% of the map, it'll feel like a better game to play.
Yeah, I can totally see that. For sure. We had a really interesting discussion about like Ubisoft games in our staff chat and Discord over last week. So yeah, it's been kind of fresh in our minds there. That's awesome. So good to hear. I definitely I want to get more of your thoughts on Sonic Frontiers later in the show. But I do want to get to our weekly releases because Sam only has about 10 or so minutes left with us before he has to depart. So I want to turn things over to Sam and let's jump into the weekly releases.
Oh yeah. So yeah, this week is pretty big for us. We've covered quite a few, at least 3 of the games we've covered quite a bit on Megavisions. First off, as of today's recording, which today is Wednesday, November 30th, the date of the recording, Warhammer 40,000 Darktide and Front Mission First Remake are out. Those are 2 games that we've covered quite a bit on our site. For those of you unfamiliar with Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, so that's a co-op shooter. It's a follow-up to the Warhammer Vermintide games, and this time the biggest difference is really energy weapons like lasers and bolters are going to take a higher stage than the melee weapons that were kind of bigger in the last games, but you can play it now on PC. It will come to Xbox Series X and S down the line. I'm not sure exactly on the date for that yet, but yeah, Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, pretty interesting looking co-op shooter. I know they had an open beta. One cool thing I saw is that any of the progression that you had while you were playing the beta carries over to the full game too.
You gotta respect that always, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because if you're putting all that time and energy into playing the beta, it would suck if you get into the full game and then okay, start over. You're at the beginning. But what?
I sure hope Nintendo is listening.
Is that a Game Pass title on PC or is that just a regular release then?
Well, let me double check for that. I can double check right now and make sure.
It is.
It is.
It's Game Pass. It's day 1 Game Pass.
I just pulled up my app. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it is. So it's Game Pass for PC. That's fantastic. So that's even better. So
Yeah.
if you have Game Pass, then that's even better for you. So the Front Mission First remake, that's another one that we've been covering here on the site. So they're going to have a new game mode in it. I could probably look it up right now and tell you what it is. As of when I wrote the weekly releases, it wasn't confirmed, but the game is officially out right now. So you can play that. It's going to be on Nintendo Switch. So some of the big things in that, it's going to be pretty similar to the original game. You'll feel at home with the tactical planning, the tile movement, specific targeting of body parts. And it's going to have some 2D illustrated characters. So if you played the original one, it's pretty true to that, and very good turn-based strategy game if you're really into that. And that's out right now on Switch. Also, today, that's already out, is Gundam Evolution on console. PC players were able to get their hands on it first. I believe that came out in September. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, it came out September 20th for PC. But now, if you have PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, or if you have Xbox Series X or S or Xbox One, you can jump into Gundam Evolution. It's a new competitive multiplayer title by Bandai Namco. So it's going to have fast-paced 6 versus 6 team battles throughout the game. So that's another one to get into, especially if you're really into getting online, playing with your friends. Definitely a good one to jump into. Also, this week, and the rest of these are coming out on Friday, December 2nd, Marvel's Midnight Suns. So that's an interesting one in the sense that I know it was originally coming out this year, then it was going to get pushed back to next year. Well, now it's coming out, and it will be out on Friday. So,
yeah, that one looks pretty interesting. I actually want to give that a shot if I can find some time.
It really looks cool, especially with the choice driven relationship building it has, and then it's gonna really kind of focus on the card based battles as well. But I really love the idea that it's gonna be, you're taking on the demon Lilith with all your favorite Marvel heroes, especially some of the ones that don't get talked about as much anymore or seen as much, like some of the Marvel Knights like Blade and Ghost Rider, two of my favorite Marvel characters. So it's really cool to see them getting
also
in.
A big Ghost Rider fan for sure. I love him.
Oh yeah, and I think we're gonna be getting some MCU. We should be getting an MCU Ghost Rider project. I know we're getting an MCU Blade project, so hopefully that makes them a little bit more popular in the mainstream. But they're by far, I love the darker side of Marvel, and that's where this game really kind of hits a sweet spot for me. Is I love, my favorite Marvel stories are always the darker ones. I love Daredevil, the Punisher, obviously Blade and Ghost Rider. So it's really cool to see that side of Marvel getting the spotlight in a video game. Super excited about that. And if you love card-based tactical games, this is definitely it for you. So anyone that's a Marvel fan, card-based fan, Midnight Suns, definitely want to check that out. Also, we're getting a new Need for Speed game. So this is huge for racing gamers. Need for Speed Unbound comes out this Friday. It's going to be on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. The cool thing about that is they're kind of, the gameplay wise looks pretty standard for a Need for Speed game, but the big thing is art style on that. So it has kind of almost like an anime like art style. If you look at some of the trailers, it's very stylized, a little bit almost, I would almost say like almost comic booky, but it still at the same time has a lot of detail. So it's like that kind of sweet spot in between animation and detailed graphics. It just looks really cool from a visual standpoint, and they didn't really mess with the gameplay too much from what we've seen so far. So if you're into the Need for Speed series, or if you're just into racing games in general, looks like a good one to check out.
Yeah, this looks cool. I'll definitely check this one out too.
I didn't realize that this was Criterion's first Need for Speed game since Rivals.
Yeah, it's been a while. They haven't.
I thought they were doing it every year. I didn't realize they weren't.
No, they took some time off. Yeah, it's crazy because Need for Speed it's such a well-known brand in racing gaming, and you just kind of assume it's there, and you don't.
Oh, and also interesting to note, Codemasters apparently helped them with it.
Ooh, okay, that's cool.
Okay. Well, I made my jokes about getting the game and getting a Subaru, but now I'm actually kind of interested. I didn't know Criterion was doing. Why are they marketing that?
I feel like I'm the only one who's not happy about the game.
Really?
Oh, I can't stand it. It made me sick the first time I watched, and then they did some gameplay, and I will be a hard pass.
Is it the art style or what?
It's the art style, and when they do like some of the effects, if you can't turn off some of those effects, I will not be able to play that game from an accessibility standpoint. It will make me sicker than a dog. And I love Need for Speed. Like, I am a diehard. I mean, if they ever redo Underground 2, you will not hear from me for a month, okay? I will be there. And so I was really excited about this.
You're not alone on that.
And I was just like, oh my God, I can't play this game. I can't even watch it. So if there's not some major things in accessibility for that game, it's going to be really hard for some of us in the disabled gamers community to actually be able to function with that.
What's honest though? I did hear that after the first trailer. That was a big talking point about the game.
It makes me sick.
So I wonder if they listened.
I haven't seen them listening. I mean, they just dropped that trailer earlier this week, I think it was, and it was the same. And I'm like, oh my God, they did he turned a corner or something like that. And I was like, okay, I got to stop. I can't even finish watching the trailer. It was that bad. So yeah, I mean, I love the franchise and I love that they're doing some out of the box thinking, but you got to think about everybody who might be playing your game too. So,
yeah, I would not be surprised if that comes at a post-launch update.
Well, it should come on a absolute release launch date. It shouldn't be something that's an afterthought after everybody's like, "Hey, we can't do this." So,
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
good job, EA.
yeah, right.
Well, real quick, because I only have a few minutes on here, but I got to talk about this. I've been saving the best for last. Pardon the bias, not to take away from any of the other amazing games coming out this week, but it's just the game that I've been following, the Callisto Protocol. It is finally time for it. I am beyond excited. And one thing I want to touch on too, because I could kind of go into a lot about what the game is, what it's about, but I got to talk about the marketing because I don't think I've talked about that enough on Megavisions. Yeah. And the marketing for this game has been nonstop. There's been all kinds of interviews, different trailers coming up, story trailers, but the one that really caught my eye that they did just last week, they did a TV spot where they had a live action trailer. It looks absolutely sick. And Josh Duhamel, if I pronounced his name right, I apologize. It might not be how you pronounce his name, but I'll just call him Josh. But he's obviously the voice actor and who they modeled the main character Jacob off of. Well, they got him to be in the live action trailer too, and you just watch that, and it's so surreal. But the most surreal part about it is if you watch one of the gameplay trailers, it's almost hard to distinguish.
Yeah,
It's so detailed and realistic, and to distinguish even the live action to the gameplay, it just makes the graphics and the gameplay look that much more impressive. And I know that this game is going to have some moments where it's going to be intense. And the cool thing is, this was news from way back, but I don't know how much I talked about it as much before, but as far as the body dismemberment, obviously that's a big thing with Glenn Schofield. It's something huge that part of Dead Space, but it's also going to be a really big deal here in Callisto Protocol, and they did that a lot differently this time around. And he was explaining that in an interview at one point, where they have their own dedicated motion tracking CG studio in there for development, and they're able to capture this on site for all the movement and everything. And then for the actual body dismemberment and gore, they went through so much. They went through real gore. They went through all kinds of horror movies. They went through everything just to get it just right. So like you shoot someone's arm off, and that's going to be the same physics in the way that they're going to do it. That's how it's going to be, and it's nuts the amount of detail that's going into this game. And it sucks that we've already had to start giving our Game of the Year awards, because I can't say Callisto Protocol since it's not out yet, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to be fair, and if there's anything wrong with it, you're going to know. I'm a tough critic. If you've seen the Dead Space reviews, I will pick out the most minute, like, little thing in there that even remotely drove me crazy, or that I'm like, oh, well, this wasn't perfect. Like Dead Space 2, I kind of went on a whole rant about how there weren't any like major boss fights, but then I gave Dead Space 3 credit because their boss fights were my favorite in the whole series. But then I had other complications with that game. Either way, I'll be fair. So if Callisto Protocol has anything wrong, I'll let you know, but I have a feeling it looks amazing, and it's my most anticipated game of the year. So
that's cool.
Sam, I love how you and I are just on the complete opposite spectrum. You're like, if there's any nitpick, I'm going to let you know. And then with me with reviews, I'm like, I'm just glad it doesn't suck.
Yeah.
And I get to read both of your reviews, so that's real fun.
Oh, you get both ends of the spectrum.
I get both ends of the spectrum from you guys. It's great.
That's funny though, Sam. Though you're saying how cool the marketing has been for Callisto Protocol. One thing I also had noticed is that in some of the IGN podcasts that are in my weekly rotation, they've been promoting a podcast, like an audio podcast on
that's right. Callisto
Protocol. I think it's called like Helix Station or something like that. And it has some pretty notable actors in it. The names escape me now, but they play clips in it, and it sounds pretty well done. So yeah, I mean, they are really putting a lot of effort behind this game. So I'm interested to see how it performs, like once it's actually like out in the wild and released.
IGN also put out a whole YouTube series on the making of horror, and how and it's directly related to the Callisto Protocol, and how they brought in masters like from The Walking Dead and Rob Zombie and other people who have major horror cred come in and talk about how the Callisto Protocol is redefining the realistic horror genre when it comes to video games. So if you guys get a chance to watch that, it's on YouTube, and it's been really fascinating to hear all of the nuances that come in from the different horror, geniuses of our time. So definitely check that one out.
Get IGN putting that ad money to work.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, no kidding.
Come on, I want some of that.
Okay, Sam, is there anything else you want to say about Callisto Protocol before you head out? I know. I
do, because I gotta run. But the one thing I didn't say, which I always do, is I talk about what platforms you can get it on. But both PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, and Series XS. And it's also going to be available on PC. So I went on such a rant about how excited I am about it. I didn't get into the important stuff that some of the listeners might want to hear. So, but yeah, it's been great. I do got to get running. Got the dinner date with the fiance. But hey, it's been great being part of the show, and I'm looking forward to being back on next week.
For sure. Thanks for coming on, and it was great having you. And yeah, we'll be sure to fill you in on what we discussed later on the show. Have a good dinner.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Now that he's gone.
Protocol's gonna suck.
Oh.
Now that he's gone, I can be honest.
Yeah.
I think the game's gonna suck.
Oh no!
No. No. I'm just as hyped as he is. Everything around it. Like, we didn't even bring up the story that I wrote a couple weeks ago where they just openly admitted, like, oh yeah, there's going to be a trophy for getting every kill in the game. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to announce. There's going to be a trophy to find every way you can die in the game. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to announce before the game comes out.
Hey, why not? I like that idea. The devil in me has a trophy if you kill everybody accidentally, including the dog. So, hey, why not?
That's hilarious. So, all right. Well, okay. So that wraps up our weekly releases talk. There has been a lot of other news that's been dropping last few days. I'm sure you guys have all seen the new Super Mario Brothers trailer that came out. I think it was yesterday now. It premiered after during a Nintendo Direct, and we see a lot of stuff happening here. I mean, Donkey Kong is introduced, fighting Mario, and I mean, lots of stuff going on here. What did you guys like? What was your reaction to this? Let's just kind of talk through it. What did y'all think of this new trailer?
I have to say, for one, visually, it's gorgeous. I mean, that's kind of what we saw during the first teaser trailer, was that this thing was going to be absolutely beautiful. And the second trailer definitely highlighted how bright and colorful it's going to be, a wide array of characters that we're going to see. I love the fact that we are getting some dedicated time to Princess Peach, because she's been there through this whole thing, and she started out as the princess in the castle that you got to go find. And she's developed into kind of a heroine of her own throughout the series. And so to see her not in a dress, which was awesome. I love her little outfit. I think that's really cool. And to have a weapon, and to, she looks like she's going to go out there and really kick some butt. And I think that I'm hoping that this is kind of a bridge into an evolution that we'll see in future games, because I think that this is creating a foundation that could lead to some really cool stuff. And so I'm excited.
Don't tell that to Sega.
Well, Sega, if you had been cheaper when I was younger, I probably could have played you. So, Sonic didn't.
I was just going to say, I didn't realize until today that Anya Taylor-Joy is voicing Peach either. She sounded great.
Yep. Yeah.
And I thought that was, I will say the voice acting across the board blew me away and just kind of won me over. I think everyone there did a great job, at least just from the trailer, coming off this latest trailer. What do y'all think about that?
What's funny? Actually, I'm on board with the both of you. The one thing I hate being with everyone else on the internet, because he's been the punching bag. But knowing what I know about voice acting and mixing and all that, I watched the trailer. I'm like, everyone sounds great. And then as soon as Chris Pratt comes on, I'm like, you sound like you're not trying.
I wondered if they did something to his voice to.
That's what I'm wondering too. It's hard to tell with a trailer, because that is very common to do with trailers, is that they'll do weird mixing and take a cut that's not used in the movie for the trailer. Mm-hmm. But if they really did that for the here we go and the wahoo at the end, if I'm Chris Pratt, I'm like, guys, what the heck? Like, you made me sound horrible. That was a trash take.
Yeah, it was a little underplayed, I think, with the little wahoo right at the end.
that I was like, oh.
Yeah,
but I'm with the two of you. Everyone else sounds great. Charlie Day sounds great. Anna Taylor-Joy sounds great. Jack Black just continues to sound impressive. It's like, I think it's gonna be a lot better than I think we all anticipated. Because I remember when it was announced that Illumination was doing it, I was terrified, because I was like, all these guys do is they have a formula. They've had a formula since Despicable Me. It's a generic plot with a little minion character they have a bunch of so they can sell toys.
I love it though, man. I can't. I'm guilty as charged. I love that stuff. I love the minions.
But this looks like they're kind of getting out of their. Yeah, it looks like they're getting out of their comfort zone with this. And it looks like Nintendo had a watchful eye over this production, which is probably for the best. I also am with you, Raven, where I do like the different direction they've taken Peach. And my thought process is that if this gets us Super Princess Peach 2, I'm cool, because that game deserves a remake or a sequel. And let's go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I like that there's some small nods just to the video games too. There's the one where Mario's walking across the bridge, the fish hits him in the face. That's hopping across the bridge. In the
they had freaking Swanky Kong in the arena behind DK.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some deep cuts in here for you to unpack, right?
I have to say, Alex, in defense of Illumination, they did do Sing 1 and 2. And they did the Lorax. So those movies were incredibly done and very, very bright, very beautiful, oh God, the kids love those movies. My son absolutely adores Sing. They do have some good ones.
I can go with you on Sing.
Yeah, they've got
I can
some
go
good
with you
ones.
on Sing. I can't go with you on the Lorax.
I do think it's cool, though, that how it...
Yes, that's a word.
It's pretty. Actually, they cut one of the best songs out, unfortunately. So that's.
Yes, they really did.
They did. So.
I'll never forget before that movie came out, they were like, the Lorax, sponsored by Chrysler. I'm like, wait a minute.
Which is exactly what Dr. Seuss would not be with at all.
That was my whole thing with that movie. I'm like, hang on a sec, time out here.
But so I'm kind of wondering, since they do a lot of these, and most of these are very musically based, are we going to, have Chris Pratt singing at some point?
I think they said they have.
Really?
Oh God!
I think they said there are musicals.
Oh yes.
Oh my God.
Oh no, that would be funny.
I really have to watch it.
It's either going to be awesome, or the internet and the memers are going to have a field day. Either way, we win. I will absolutely write a post on the site if there's memes about this bad song.
There will be, for sure. The one thing that I think the just the trailer showcases, and I really hope it continues to play through, is that it picks, parts from major Sonic games and just kind of includes them throughout. We saw the Mario Kart stuff, the Smash Brothers, and nods from the original games as well. So I think it's doing a really cool job of really just integrating all of that, the previous games, and just the Mario universe. It's seemingly kind of like in one movie. So it's going to be interesting to see from a plot line and everything else how that's all kind of integrated. I'll be interested.
I guess that's the biggest question is like they're showing snippets of all this stuff, but you maybe got an hour 45, 2 hours, 2:30 max because it's a kids movie. Like, how are you going to integrate this all together and make it make sense?
Yeah, I don't know. One thing I did want to ask you both is that the natural comparison to Mario, the Mario movies, obviously, the Sonic movies that have been released.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about 94 Super Mario.
Oh, no, I don't think we need to do that. That's for another podcast. But so what are the notable things that I think Sonic 2 did is it set the record for the biggest opening weekend for a video game adaptation, and at the time grossing over 71 million. And
it deserved every penny
for sure. And I thought it also just still opened at a weird time too, where everyone's still kind of getting back into theaters post COVID. So
when I reviewed it for the site, I kind of had that weird feeling where like I went during the day. I didn't go to a night screening. I went the day it came out during the afternoon when I knew nobody would be there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't blame you at that time either, for sure. So I think that just goes, to show how popular the movie was. So the question is, do you think when this Mario movie releases, do you think it has a shot at beating that record there? And
it will.
You think so?
I guess I should have mentioned this whenever I was doing the About Me, but I majored in film studies. Like I majored in film. And one of the elements that we had to study a lot in school was the business side of things. with Illumination's name and Universal's name on that Mario Brothers movie, that alone is probably going to get it 600 to 700 million in itself. It sounds insane to say that, but that's how powerful of a brand the Despicable Me, Minions, and that whole franchise is. If they go from the studio of Despicable Me, parents might know nothing about Mario, but they're going to take their kids to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And Sonic just didn't have that because Paramount, who has done the Sonic movies, they haven't had a good last couple of years, literally until this year. This has been their best year in like 10 years. So I do think those factors play into it. Absolutely. And look, I know we're a Sega site, but let's be real. We know Mario is a bigger brand worldwide.
Yes, I would absolutely agree with that.
Yeah. So I do think all of those factors are going to play into it. I really do. I think in the US, it'll probably do around 100, 130. That would be my guess, unless if the movie absolutely sucks and word gets out early that it does. But if the word early is that it's good, it will get, I'd say, about 100 to 130. And probably worldwide, it will probably do about 300.
Wow.
Which I think would get the record for both.
Right, yeah. So right now, I mean, at least for the video game adaptation, 71 million in the opening weekend is what it has to be.
It'll beat that.
So
it'll beat that.
Yeah, I was trying to look up. I don't have them in front of me, but I was just trying to look up some numbers for the more recent, bigger movies like the Marvel stuff, like what those were doing in the opening weekend, just to see kind of the trend of what some of the bigger releases are getting. But I don't have it in front of me. But no, I mean,
I think Wakanda Forever did over 100.
I know Disney bombed their last movie. It just came out.
Oh yeah, that was it. Like
the Strange Worlds. Strange Worlds.
Yeah. Such a generic name.
It bombed.
It looked interesting.
Yeah, because they didn't market it at all.
Yeah, that's what I read. Like people were like, I have no idea what this movie's about. I haven't even heard about it. And I was like, I think I've seen a couple of ads on like YouTube, I think. But
it's one of those only available in theaters releases. It's not on Disney right now. Watch
one that gets to Disney Plus. That's going to do well.
I could see it doing really well there for sure.
I put money on it.
I heard it was really boring though. I heard there was like a lot of storylines that they opened up and then didn't do anything with. So that was that was the complaint of people who actually went and saw it, was that it was very generic. And just kind of sat there
it's a sci-fi Errol Flynn movie.
I know.
Screw that up.
I don't know. Because I don't think anybody knows who Errol Flynn is anymore. You know? So.
Okay. Well, now that's right. But then then I go, if you want to watch something Errol Flynn, go watch Up.
Yeah. So, but no. I'm not going to go watch Up.
No, I won't do that.
I'm not going to watch Up.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. It's a nice, wholesome family movie.
I've seen it once, and if you say her name, I will cry. So don't.
No, do you?
I think maybe that's it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask if you guys had anything else that we wanted to say about the Mario trailer, the movie overall, before we move on to the next bit.
I didn't actually get to see Sonic 2 yet. It's on my watch list. But
it's really good.
I liked the first one. I mean, it was all right. It was predictable
it's
for
miles
me.
Better.
And that was just kind of I get bored if I know what's going to happen by the first 20 minutes. I get bored with something. So
okay, you're the perfect movie to sell the second movie.
Yeah, that's my problem. You got to keep me guessing.
Ever watch the first? Don't ever even bother watching it. I mean, if you've already watched it, I guess
I did. I watched it once, and I was like, "Yeah, it's all right," you know.
The first. I joked in my review, the first movie was Are We There Yet? But with Sonic. The second movie actually feels like a Sonic movie.
God, I hated those movies. They did two of those movies.
Right. Right. But this one actually feels like a Sonic movie because it's basically like with Knuckles getting introduced and they have to bring in the Chaos Emeralds where it's like, oh, cool. Now this is a Sonic movie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I think that even if what was I gonna say? With the Mario movie, I think it's even like a love-hate relationship. Like people are gonna go see it even if they hear bad reviews because they're gonna want to hate on it themselves. So they're going to go see it.
Oh, I agree.
They can hate on it, kind of thing. You know, I think it's going to be one of those type of movies that, I mean, maybe it will be really good, maybe it won't, but people are still going to go see it just so they, you know, can kind of trophy, you know, I've seen it and this is what I think about it, sort of thing. So I think that either way, it's going to make a ton of money. I'm not going to see it in theaters. I'll wait till it comes out because we just don't do the theaters. We have one here. And nobody's careful at all about masking or anything like that. So
well, there's a
we
civil
will wait
war
until it
going
comes
on.
out.
I don't think you should be going out right now.
I'll wear my Beavers jacket. So, but yeah, I do think that it's gonna do really well no matter what. It's just kind of one of those, unless it gets review bombed at the beginning, which we all know happens. So we'll have to see.
It's happening to Willow right now, and I'm so mad.
No. Nobody gets to touch Willow.
Yeah, we can talk about Willow later because I would love to. I have a lot to talk about Willow if we want to do that for sure.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't watched the first. I was literally.
I haven't watched it yet either. I haven't watched it yet either. But I am a diehard Willow fan. I absolutely.
You're the same age as me, I think. So we're right around when it came out originally. Yeah.
So I have we could discuss it later on for sure. But let's jump into some more news. And as a matter of fact, it's still about Sonic. Not about the Sonic movie though. It's about Sonic Frontiers, the new video game that just was released by Sega. So here's the news here though, is that it appears that Sonic Frontiers is going to be the new cornerstone for future Sonic games. So what does that mean? I guess it's basically what Sonic Adventure was to modern Sonic games. Sega has the idea that this Sonic Frontiers is going to be that for these for the foreseeable future.
Good,
I guess. So let me read you the bit here. It says Sonic team head Takashi Iizuka spoke with Sector about the franchise moving forward. He compared Sonic Frontiers to the famed Sonic Adventure, which brought the Hedgehog into 3D during a pivotal time for the gaming industry. And he said, just like Sonic Adventure, our goal for Sonic Frontiers was to create a game that would be the cornerstone of future Sonic games. He added, it is a brand new approach for the franchise, but we have been conscious to honor Sonic's roots as well. The game still needs to feel like a Sonic game. So, well, Alex, I think you're the perfect person right now to kind of talk about this. You just did your 100% review there. So, what do you make of this? How do you feel about this idea of Sonic Frontiers being the new cornerstone for Sonic games?
I'm not gonna lie. When you said the news story, I thought you were gonna mention the DLC they announced today. Like they literally announced today that free DLC is coming where there is going to be new playable characters in a new story. And they showed the images of Tails, Knuckles, and Amy. And I'm like, don't you all do this. Don't you all do this and not give me this. We've waited for so long for this, for these three to be playable again. Don't you rob us of this. But as for the cornerstone of the franchise, that was something I kind of harped on a lot in my review, is that Frontiers feels like a foundation in a good way. It feels like a foundation for the future of the franchise. It felt like it was them experimenting with ideas, concepts, the engine, all of that to figure out how they can make this better the next time around. And even so, it still came out as a good game, I argue. There's some really good ideas that they play with it. Is there stuff that needs to be fixed? Yes, absolutely. Level design, the sparse level design being one of them. But I do think it's setting a nice foundation for the games moving forward. And now that they have a feel for the technology, they can go bigger next time. The game I kept comparing it to is I kept getting the same feeling that I did when I played the single-player campaign of Halo Infinite, where that was another game.
Yeah, that's a good comparison, for sure.
Yeah. It was another game that had the pseudo-open world field. It was kind of smaller in scale. The level design wasn't as varied as you like, but you could also get a sense this is the developers trying to figure out how they want to do this. And even so, they still made a fun game. So with Frontiers, if they're planning to make this the cornerstone and just branch off from it and take the constructive criticism that's been lobbied at Sonic Frontiers, good and bad, and make a bigger and better game, I'm all for it. I will say, though, I kind of hinted at this in the review, but I didn't want to get too spoilery with it. I do think the story and what it does, if there's any time to do a Sonic Adventure 3, it's probably after this.
Ooh, okay. What? I don't know if can you say why without it being spoilery?
It ties back to Adventure a lot story-wise.
Gotcha.
And lore-wise.
Didn't they take screens from like the ending of Sonic Adventure 2 and actually use it in there? Because I thought there was a whole thing where people were dissecting that on Twitter, where there was like a screen of Tails that was used or something. I don't know. Maybe I.
No, but I got to be real careful here.
Okay.
The lore ties heavily back to the first Sonic Adventure.
Gotcha. Okay.
A lot of what the game establishes ties heavily back to the first Sonic Adventure, and now it makes me look back, as silly at points as the story of Adventure can get. What Frontiers does is make me go, nah, we got some unanswered questions now back there. We better go, you guys got to go mop this up.
Yeah. And so that's the thing, though, too. Do you think if this is kind of the foundation of the Sonic Frontiers or the Sonic games, there are that you mentioned like some technical issues that they're going to have to address, like if this series is going to continue to progress. Do you think with they have like a new Sonic engine, right, that they're using with this that they developed? They
did not for this game.
Okay, they didn't. So this was
they used Unreal Engine for this one.
So that's good, I think, for the future of the franchise moving forward. I think maybe they should be able to address a lot of the because I just started playing the game myself. I'm not too far into it, so I definitely don't want to delve into the spoiler territory, but. The big thing I kept hearing about is like the pop-in that you see throughout, and I was playing it on. Granted, it's my old school Xbox One, but it's just so noticeable. And there's other games from the Xbox One era that are nowhere near as bad as that. And so I'm wondering if those are some things that they'll be able to tweak and just address and completely, not completely fix, but address it at least and continue to improve upon it.
I can speak to this with that. I played on the PS5, and I played in performance mode that puts the game at 60 frames per second. I'm going to be 100% honest. I really did not notice it with that on.
Okay.
And I do get the feel. I do have I'm sure Sega would never say it, but I have a feeling this was developed with the idea of being next-gen only, and that the PS4, Xbox One were kind of an afterthought, if that makes sense.
What would you even call the Switch version at this point, then?
I have no clue, because I have heard a plethora of things about it. I've heard people that have had a great experience with it, and I've had people that had it just everything is going wrong. When it comes to Sonic games, I don't know what the heck to think about with the Switch. If you want to get it on there, Godspeed.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where I think you're right. They do need to completely move forward with the next gen platforms. I think that would do a lot for addressing those things. And maybe if they want to, put something on the Switch, maybe it's just a smaller scale version of it, or just do something else completely. But just
down-res it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I definitely think that they need to move forward and take advantage of this stronger hardware that's out there, because the Digital Foundry breakdown, I don't know if you saw that, but they did an excellent job. They were basically saying the only, the best way obviously to play it, but the real way that you want to experience this game is in that, performance mode that is only, I think, available on the PS5 and the Series X right now.
Yes, the Series X just went live yesterday.
And are they going to have some version of it for the S?
You know what? I tried looking into that, and I couldn't find any information.
Okay.
I did try. So when I typed up the review, actually, that was the reason it was a day late to you guys, is that I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I tried to get in contact with some people I know at Microsoft, and I'm sure because of the holidays, they probably said piss off. But
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so I don't know. My guess, knowing Microsoft, and because they want the S to be close to the X for people, my guess would be probably. I don't know if it went live yesterday. I know for sure it did on the X.
Okay.
I will go around. I'll go sniffing around after we're done here and see if the S got it too.
Cool. Yeah, I know that would be interesting to see. I would like to see that. But you did mention the update that Sega put out today about the 2023 content roadmap. I think we should just kind of break it down a little bit before we move on. So, in update 1, there's going to be a jukebox feature added, a photo mode, and a new challenge modes. So,
oh boy,
yeah, what do you make of that?
Cool.
Right.
I'm not I know there's some people who love photo mode. I get it. I do. It is fun to get some fun photos. I did it in Halo. Chris, I remember when I started playing Halo last year, I was sending you clip after clip of just being in the single player and having my vehicle drops just hit soldiers right around me without them noticing.
So much fun.
But I mean, if you like photo mode, cool. The jukebox thing, that's great because Frontier's soundtrack is great. I'd rather have it on my Apple Music so I can lift to it.
Yeah.
If I'm being blunt. So, as for the third thing, the challenge maps, I do like that. I do like the challenge maps. I think all the levels in Frontiers in terms of getting the four keys and getting an extra 4 for completing all 4 of them, I thought those were fun. I really did.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I would love to see if they can achieve the level in the photo mode, just a level of options that you get in something like Horizon or something. It's just that was some of the most fun things. Is just taking photos and just it's great stuff. So I would love to see that. I think there's some fun options or some fun just opportunities there to do some silly stuff with. So that would be fun.
And Raven just found out. Yes, it is. That's it. That performance mode for 60 frames per second is for the X and S. Good find, Raven.
Ooh, okay. Well,
so the S is gonna get it.
Nice. Okay. Well, I bought the physical version, so I have my S, so I'm gonna keep playing it on. Man, once that drops, though, I'm just gonna buy the digital version and then and be able to. That way, I could see. From from format standpoint, the difference there, but
oh, dude, it's night and day.
Yeah, okay.
I started the game in 30, and I felt gypped.
yeah,
because I'd watched footage. I'm like, no, this is 60. Something's wrong here. And I looked it up, and they're like, yeah, you got to go in the options and turn it on. As soon as I did, I was like, yeah, this feels like the game they've been marketing.
Yeah, no, that's going to be good. I will like to jump into that and just see that better experience there. Real quickly, I will say update 2 that's going to be coming along, and I don't think they necessarily gave a timeline for this in terms of a month or when these are going to be coming. So we don't know that yet, but they're going to have something related to Sonic's birthday in there. I don't know what that's necessarily going to be. And then we'll have Open Zone Challenge and some new Coco.
Cool.
Yeah. What Sonic's birthday? I wonder if, when is Sonic's birthday?
Isn't it in June?
That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it is in June.
And so maybe I wonder if that's
wow, we ain't getting that. We ain't getting the other playable characters till next December.
I was gonna say is this maybe an idea when it's gonna drop? But yeah, if that's the case, it's gonna be that update 3 is gonna be real late.
Oh, well, at least it's free.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, though, too, is they did follow up a tweet there that it's going to be free. So that's cool. Yep. I love to see this kind of DLC. And honestly, a lot of this stuff should just be included in the regular game anyway, like photo mode, jukebox mode, new Coco mode, Sonic birthday mode is what you see in all games these days.
Yeah, I guess I didn't get mad about it because I'm like, there's enough here. At launch.
Now, if they were trying to sell this stuff to us, for $2.99,
then I'd be like, nah, screw you.
Right, yeah. So no, I think they at least this is good stuff. It's going to keep people playing the game. It's going to keep people buying the game throughout the year. And it's free, so you'll be able to pick it up as you go. And yeah, you do see Tails, Knuckles and Amy there. It would be awesome if they're playable. So
make all if you're gonna do a new story, you just make all 3 playable. Just go
give
for
the people what they want. Sega. For once in your life.
Well, they're starting to.
We're making
They're learning.
progress. Yeah, I'll give them
Yeah,
that.
they're learning. They're learning. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Like with Sonic, they're learning. With Yakuza, they've been treating us very nicely.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah, just some of them. It's like you can't get enough Yakuza. We're gonna throw it all at you. So
yeah, no,
that's great. So yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up our news segment this week. Yeah, it's, who'd be surprised between we're talking Sonic and Mario? You know, after all these years, we're still talking about the two of them.
And that's why they're the GOATs.
Right. Yeah, they deserve it, right? For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So I think we could jump into kind of what we've been watching and what we've been playing. Alex, since you're the new guy here, we'll let you go first. What you been watching and playing lately?
So for most people that know me, I'm very into anime and all that stuff. So I have been watching Chainsaw Man, which has been utterly fantastic. I also read the manga and I know all the pain that's coming. So if you're watching it for the first time, buckle up. As for what I've been playing, I like to 100% complete games. I like to 100% get trophies and achievements. And whenever an anime game comes out on the Xbox, I know I maybe got a week before the servers die. So I've been playing the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. I've been trying to get the online trophy so that way I can take the rest of it with these. And it's not been going well. I have been getting my butt handed to me by every JoJo bro you can imagine, and I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do about it, but it's at least getting me closer to the get 100 matches achievement. So just get that, and I don't have to get my butt kicked on online anymore. I can do it.
You got it.
I hope.
What else you got? You been watching anything you want to talk about?
I'm starting Willow tonight.
Okay.
I do want to start.
Let's just
Willow
get into it. All right. Let's just do it.
I know
We're diving in.
I know I'm the one here, but I watched. My dad was huge on Jim Henson.
Okay.
My dad and my grandpa were huge.
Good
on Jim
men
Henson, so
already. I like.
Yes.
So even though I was a 90s kid, they grew me up on all of Henson's stuff. And Willow was one of those projects, one of those movies that they grew me up on.
Okay.
So I've been really excited for this series for a while. Now, as I mentioned before, that crowd, you can take it as that will, is already trying to review bomb it because apparently there is an LGBT relationship prominent in the show.
Ugh.
But from what I've read from actual intelligent critics, it's handled really, really well, and it's probably the best one that Disney's done in years. Okay. So I'm really excited to watch it because all the reviews, once again from people that actually know what they're talking about, have been very, very good.
That's good to hear. That warms my heart a little bit. And I heard that it was good, and it just was a good kind of family show that you can watch with your kids. And really, that's what Willow was all about always, right? It was a family adventure fantasy film, you know?
And with House of Dragon and that new Rings of Power being so dour and serious, it's like, isn't it nice and refreshing to have one that's not going to try to kill everyone in the first 10 minutes?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a good change of pace. And I think it's a good just show that you'll be able to just watch and relax, with your family and everything. No, I also wanted to say if you guys are interested, Chris Baker, who he works over at Zen Studios. Him and his friend just launched a Willow podcast called Willow Talk.
Nice.
And they were at LucasArts together back in the day. So they have kind of an interesting perspective, but these guys are mega fans of Willow and they know a lot about it. And they have just a lot of interesting stuff to say. They released their first episode this week. I think it was yesterday, and I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but it is a lot of fun. They talk about The movie, obviously, the video games, the NES video game.
Oh my god, I forgot about the video game.
Yeah, and you know what? They brought a good point up, and when they were discussing it, because I played that game a lot as a kid. I got it for Christmas one year, I think.
Was that an LJN title?
It could have been, but
that feels like something they would have done.
We'd have to look it up. But
I'm doing it right now.
The one thing that
I'm curious
that I can't remember which one. I think it may have been Chris said though, and I think he had a really good point. Is the Willow game feels like what could have been a sequel to Zelda 2, like a natural kind of like almost an in between the original Legend of Zelda and then that much different game that we got in Zelda 2.
Whoa, it was Capcom.
Yeah, that's right. It was Capcom.
What the hell?
And in fact, I think because there was also a Willow arcade game, and so
there was.
That
was also Capcom.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know if they did both. But I will say the Willow arcade game is a lot of fun. I've played it a few times at conventions over the years. It's the only time I've been able to see an actual cabinet because it wasn't released in the US. I want to say it was Japanese only, which is really weird, right?
How did this one happen?
I don't know, but it's awesome and it looks great. It's got great pixel graphics. This one's more of like a how would you describe it? It's more of a side-scrolling like platformer.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like a side-scrolling adventure game. I think that one captures the feel and kind of look of, I guess, the Willow universe in my mind better than the NES version did at the time. But I do remember like being a little frustrated with the NES game, not enjoying it incredibly much. I did play it and got decently far in it, but I don't think I ever completed it. There was some weird movie-based NES games back then. There was that one, and then that Robin Hood. I miss those
Robin
days.
Hood one. Did you ever play that? That was a strange one.
So it's funny, like for me, like I got into a lot of like the late 80s, early 90s culture from like YouTubers I watched when I was a teenager. Like because I grew up like, gaming in the late aughts, YouTube became a prevalent part of that culture.
Right.
So that got me down the rabbit hole of becoming like loving video game history and the weird intricacies of it. And yeah, the amount of movie tie-in games, good grief. You all got hit every week with them.
Yeah, it was we were kind of, I think, the one of the first generations of kids that just got like bombarded with marketing. You turn on Saturday morning cartoons and that's where they would hit you with everything. And I remember, just seeing a commercial and freaking out and running to my mom and be like, "Oh my God, there's a new Ninja Turtle set," or whatever it was. And man, they did it. And those video games were, man, it was like crack, like there's a new movie, you saw it, you got to get the video game. But yeah, the Willow game was certainly something else. And they touch on that in the podcast. So I definitely suggest checking that out if you are a Willow fan. But cool. I will say, and another interesting thing, do you know that Warwick Davis, obviously who's the star of Willow, do you know he was only like 15 or 16 when he filmed the original movie?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It was like one of his first roles.
Wow. Yeah, he's like his character's got to be like at least like in his mid 20s or late in 30s. He's got like a 7 or 8 year old kid in there. But it's just great. And I think it just goes to show how awesome Warwick Davis is. Even at such a young age, to be able to carry a film like that. He's just got such a huge personality, and he's so great that I think he did fantastic. And I think that just really impressed me to think that as a 16-year-old kid that he could perform so well and take on that kind of that character and just bring that character to life like he did in Willow. I think is excellent. Yeah.
No, I agree with that. It's one of those things where he's always been an actor that you put him in anything, he will deliver. He's a great character actor, and it is kind of a shame that back in the day when Willow bombed, I was looking this up the other night. Like, a lot of the reviews blamed him, and you watch the movie, it's like, he's not the problem here.
Were
Like,
they saying that he wasn't an established star? Maybe I could see maybe that.
Pretty
okay,
much,
yeah.
and that people weren't ready for like a little person to lead a movie. I'm like,
oh, well,
man,
that's
screw
bullshit.
you.
Yeah. That's crazy. But you know, like I will. I'm just so happy that this is getting a series, because I never would have thought in a million years this would ever be made into a new series.
Apparently, the crew didn't either.
yeah.
Like the showrunner, Jonathan Kasdan. I was reading an interview with him last night. He just randomly pitched it to LucasArts, and he didn't think. I'm sorry, not LucasArts, Lucasfilms. And he did the pitch, and when he walked out, he's like, "Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it." And then they called him back, like, "Yeah, we want to do it." He's like, okay."
Let me ask you.
And then he got told about Disney Plus, and he's like, yeah, that explains it.
Yeah, they need that content, you know. So we should have pitched a movie. You know, Sam could have probably got his horror movie greenlit on Disney Plus if he had pitched it earlier.
Well, not horror.
It could have been horror comedy. You know, we could tone it down a little bit.
Hulu, he could have gone to. Hulu, he could have gone to.
Yeah, we'd have to comedy it up a bit and tone it down. Maybe less on the murder mystery, but I don't know. We'll see. But man, I was gonna say and ask you guys, if they were to make a Willow video game now based on the series, how would you envision that, and what kind of game would you want to see? Open it up. First person that comes with a good idea, bring it to me.
Okay, so for me, it's kind of Dungeons and Dragons sort of style. The way that,
right.
I mean, of course, we haven't watched it yet, but Willow always kind of reminded me of a really great Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And Wizards of the Coast has done some really great work with their video games. Not that many people actually even realize that there are video games based on Dungeons and Dragons, but there is. Neverwinter is one of them. There's Daggerdale is another. Neverwinter is actually an online game, and it's really easy to get very lost in that game, and it embodies a lot of different styles. Like there is, for example, when you go into one of the towns, they have a tavern, and you go into that tavern, and there's a game that you can literally get sucked into the board game, and you have to play your way through the board game in order to get out. It's a whole quest line. It's actually a lot of fun. And so I could see them doing something long-lasting like Dragon Age Inquisition or Dungeons and Dragons or something along that form where you get to, pick you'd probably, I would imagine, go as Willow as the main character and then develop your party around that, because we've seen that there's several different characters that are helping him on this quest. I would hope that maybe you'd be able to branch off and play as the other characters, because I believe in a more immersive, expansive world. But that's kind of what I could see done, and you could build upon their adventures. It could be something that gets constant updates with content and things like that. I would not recommend handing it to Wizards of the Coast, just saying, but I could see that format fitting Willow and his crew and how they go through their adventures, because I don't think that I hope we're not going to be done with them when we get through this series. I don't know if this is the first season or if this is a complete story that they're planning to tell, but it's always felt like it's a world that has a ton of stuff to do and a ton of stories to tell. So, why not do more with it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Alex, what do you got? Spitballing.
Would it be lazy to say Telltale?
Episodic. I could get that.
Yeah, This feels like something that if Telltale got their hands on, they would do a really good job with. It kind of reminds me a lot of I don't know, like when they got The Wolf Among Us, and I'd read that comic. I'd read all Fables when they got The Wolf Among Us. And I was like, I don't know what you can really add to this. And I remember they explicitly didn't say what it was until the game came out. And they realized it was a prequel. I was like, oh, now you have something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really good at doing that. They're really good at taking a narrative approach that you wouldn't expect. Like when they did Batman. their whole angle with Batman was, what if Bruce found out his parents were not very good people? And I could see them doing something really interesting with this world too. So
yeah, that would be.
Yeah,
I dig it. Let me pitch one to you though. What about a Willow kart racer developed by Sumo Digital?
oh dear God!
Imagine and Willow.
It would be awesome.
He rides the little sled down the. That's what his cart is. A little sled that he rides down the mountain. And
there's got to be a horse
he
on
rolls
skates.
into a ball, he rolls it into a giant snowball and just crushes everything in his path. I love it.
I hate that I know I'd play this.
Thanks, I hate it.
Oh man,
I bought Garfield cart for $1.
You could probably buy this game for $1 within weeks of release, though, too. So
that's my point. Yeah, I'd do it.
Pitch it to Humble Games, and it can be part of their Humble bundle, right?
Yeah.
Hey, it goes to charity. I mean, Disney doesn't need the revenue, so why not? Let's give it to charity.
No, not at all.
Someone could make a flash game of it or something and make it probably pretty cheap. So if anyone listening, you know of a Willow kart racer, let us know, or any other Willow games out there for that matter. I would love to take a deeper dive into it. I don't know if it's just the Willow NES and the Willow arcade game. There might be some other obscure stuff out there, like a Willow board game video game or something like that.
So I actually am looking at Wikipedia right now. The only other thing I'm really seeing that got stuff in the Willow universe is books.
I do own the first book. I think Chris Claremont actually wrote those books too. So
that is correct.
Yeah. So there's some power, behind this franchise. There's a lot of talent, and I just am so excited, overall that, this Willow series is coming. So I think it'll be great. Let's watch it all this week. And then, next week's show, we'll have a lot more to talk. Maybe we'll just do a Willow. We can't call it Willow Talk. God dang it. They have it already. Whoa, what if we call it
10-15 minute recap?
We could call it the Willow Talk. We'll talk about the Willow Talk podcast and what they did, and we'll react to that. So
we're chatty branches.
Right. Yeah.
It's only episode 1 out, right? If I remember correctly.
I think are they dropping it weekly?
Yeah, I think they are.
Oh, good. Thank God.
I said the same thing. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I can't do that.
When they do it all at once, because if I have to do it every single week, I don't have time sometimes to do that. So I can eck out a chunk and be able to watch it all at once.
It's way better for me in this way.
I think it's more fun though too, because you get the conversation for a long duration of time. Like we'll be able to now talk about every episode each week, rather than if they dumped it all, then we'd have to feel like this weird where we couldn't talk about like the spoiler stuff, so we have to just kind of talk about the overall. I don't know. I think this is great for us. Great for content.
Oh God, we used to do that with Game of Thrones.
First 2 episodes.
Okay, first 2 episodes. That's fair. That's good. That gives a little bit more to chew on. We'll get a better idea of really kind of where the direction of the show's going to go. Man, there's so much I got to do tonight, but I got to stay up late and watch both of these. I'm going to have to. I'm so excited.
I'm going to have to split them up because I got to watch Chainsaw Man still too, and Spy Family. Damn, I'm way behind.
Much to do.
I started watching that. That's such a fun anime. I love that anime. It's so much fun.
Spy Family.
Yes.
Oh, it's serotonin.
I love it.
It's wonderful.
It is. I got turned off of it because of all the pervs and the creeps that were creeping on the little girl, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, but now they're all watching Bleach, so we're good.
Oh, hey, I like Bleach. I've been watching Bleach too.
No, I know, but it's just it's the people that are like, we only watch the top 3, we only watch the big 3, and I'm like, there's other anime that exists. I like these too, but.
Wallflower.
Y'all can
watch the Wallflower. You want a weird one? Watch the Wallflower. It's fun, but it's weird.
About that. I just started. I was laughing. I was sick, and I started. Akame ga Kill, and I put it on Twitter, and everyone's like, "Oh, have fun!"
It's on my watch list. I know that's what everyone's told me too. Have fun, and I'm like, thanks. Why don't you all go watch Your Lies in April? Okay, you have fun too.
I'll say, Alicia, why don't you just go ahead and keep rolling and tell us what else you've been watching and playing? Because we started there. Let's just keep it going.
So actually, I'm on the last episode of Lucifer. Finally,
Ooh.
I have been working through this thing for like 6 months. No joke. So the problem is that my little one, he has sleep issues, and so he doesn't go to sleep a lot of times until like 11 o'clock at night. And so that means mom doesn't get any time to watch unless I want to be in bed at like 2 or 3 or something like that, right? So every once in a while he goes to sleep at like 9, and that means I can sneak in a couple of episodes here and there. So I'm finally on the last episode of Lucifer, and I'm pissed because I'm pretty sure they're gonna kill him. And so, yeah, I've enjoyed that a lot. And after that, I'm hoping to pick up Sandman because they're in the same universe and they're done by the same guy. And it's awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. So, and then we finished up Dancing with the Stars. And this was kind of a big season for me personally because they had Selma Blair on there. And she came out a few years ago and said that she had MS. And we also had Daniel. Oh crap! What was his name? He was in Coda. He won the Academy Award actually for that. The deaf guy.
Yeah.
So we had we had big representation in this season when it came to disabilities, and he actually made it almost to the semifinals, and then they kicked him off in
Daniel
favor.
Duran.
Yeah, they kicked him off in favor of somebody else.
Is that it? Okay.
And it just killed me because for him to perform was really difficult. He can't hear. He's completely deaf. And so the only way that he was able to dance was by feeling the vibrations of the beat through the floor in his feet. And then he had a really great partner as well who helped him, through these different things. But their second to their last dance, they actually did a spot where they turned off the music through half of it. And they just danced. And everybody else had to experience what it was like for him. And it was astounding to experience that because I've actually worked with deaf people. And unfortunately in my family, hearing loss is something that we all experience. So I'm terrified that it's going to happen, but it's a possibility for my family. So the idea of losing music to me is absolutely terrifying. It's like literally my lifeblood. I don't know what I would do without music. And so for him to show what it was like to do that was incredibly empowering and just absolutely amazing. And then you had Selma, who has MS. She got diagnosed with MS about 4 years ago, and it took her down. That's why we haven't seen her. If you remember her, she was in Cruel Intentions. She's been in a number of movies, and then she kind of dropped off the radar. And it was because of this. And there are days that she is unable to walk because of it. It's extremely debilitating. And she shakes, and it's really hard for her to control her muscles. And so imagine attempting to learn ballroom and Latin dancing every single week with your body not in your control. Now, I have been going through some things, and we're pretty sure that I have what's called neurological tremors. And it causes me to have uncontrollable shakes where my body literally feels like it's having mini earthquakes. And at that point in time, I can't hold anything. If I hold something, I will drop it. At times I can't walk. It's extremely difficult to go through. And so to have someone up there every week go through that, and she had to bow out because it became apparent that it was affecting her health in a very bad way. She was pushing herself to a limit that was not healthy for her, and it could cause massive repercussions later on down the line. So she had to bow out of the competition. But to watch her every single week go through that, and the amount of power that she gave to all of us was just astounding. And so I didn't care who won. I know it was Charlie D'Amelio. I don't care who won. What really won the day for me was the fact that we gave the spotlight to two people who get underrepresented every single day. And you watch them do incredible things, and they touch the lives of everyone that was watching. And it was amazing. And so if you don't like Dancing with the Stars, at least look up Daniel and Selma's dances because they were amazing to watch. And no, they weren't technically perfect, but they were creative and they were beautiful, and they put in 10 times more work than anybody else just to make it onto that dance floor every single week. And so it was really incredible to have those examples, and I honestly think that we need to see more of that. I mean, Coda was astounding because of the fact that it was some of the first times that we had seen a deaf person cast in a deaf role. And then he won the Academy Award for it, which it was well deserved. He should have. So, I think it's when we talk about diversity, we tend to talk about including, trans and gay and black and Asian and all that kind of stuff. And we tend to forget about the disabilities and how much we are not recognized. And that's why it's a big deal for me in the gaming industry too, to constantly look at that. What kind of accessibility features are these games offering us? Because we want to play too. But we don't
that's
necessarily.
Important. I mean, that's absolutely important for 100%.
We don't always have the things that everyone else does. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's really hard. Some days I can't hold my controller. So it would be really nice to have one of those. There's been some developments when it comes to accessibility controllers and stuff, and it would be nice to invest in one of those eventually. So yeah, that's just kind of, there's my little spiel, but
No, that's awesome.
But it was incredible. So that's what I've been up to.
Have you been playing anything you want to update us on?
So I started a little bit ago the cult. Honey, I joined a cult a couple weeks ago. I actually played it on stream as part of our indie showcase, and I'm addicted to that game. It's ridiculously stupid, and I mean that in a good way, because I've actually had a few back and forths with the developers and stuff. But it's very simple once you get the basics down, and you get to pick like what you want your cult to be about. So the cult that we picked for Mega Visions is we're the cult of the worm. And the cult that I did on my own, we're Santa Claus. We worship Santa Claus. So, so I have little elves.
Did you play Call of the Lamb at all?
I didn't. No, I read your review though. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Did anyone else on the team play it yet? Because it sounds like that's right up your alley.
I think this is really seriously laid back. It's much more sim related than anything.
Gotcha. Okay.
As far as that goes, but it's like I have to make sure that like they have requests that come in, and one of them was like they want a maggot pit because it's rejuvenating, and so I have to like do all the research so that I can build one of those things. And when you go past it, it makes this squishy noise in your headphones, and it's like, oh, this is so gross. But there's this little person sitting in there with its little elf hat, totally happy and content that it's in this pit of maggots. And I'm like, oh my God, this thing's just so nuts. And you have to keep people from finding out about you, because the police will come and shut you down if you're not careful. And it's like they'll rate you. And then there's like things that'll happen in town. Like there was a meteor that fell, and then I couldn't send out any of my elves on quest for like 48 hours, which meant that they're like all sitting there just really bored. It was like, oh God.
What is this called?
It's called Honey, I Joined a Cult.
Okay, I'm mad.
It is just absolutely. I am. I was like up till like 4 o'clock in the morning playing it. I'm like, I need to go to bed. I need to go to bed. So
it's Team 17. Hell yeah!
Yes, it is so much fun, and it's seriously laid back. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a mobile edition, because it would be perfect as an idle game. It really would. So there's certain things that you could set up in advance. You could schedule them. You could schedule your elves to do different things, and then they just do them. You don't really have to do anything about it. And so it could be a great idle little game, like but it's stupidly addicting. And I'm like, how many other cults could I possibly make? And then like when you open the sanctuary, the cult leader's sanctum, then you get to pick like what your cult is. So you can pick ones that are like, you can make it super evil, or you can make it about there's one that's like robot overlords are going to take over, or you could have one where it's love and peace and happiness and hippie child and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. It's kid friendly for the most part. I haven't really seen anything that's that you have to worry about your little ones, nothing like that. It's relaxing and silly, and I need more gummy bears because I sacrificed all my gummy bears while I was playing it. Anyway,
Oh no.
so,
Oh
I
man.
ate them all.
Oh, I have a game I need to talk about really quickly because VGNY Soft, they are releasing a ton of stuff these days, and it seems like every new release they send my way, but it's happening at an increasing rate. It seems like so they got a new one that's just out now called Stellar Interface on the Nintendo Switch, and I'll tell you all about it. It's
cool.
kind of interesting. Sounds like so. It says what you get when you combine a roguelike with bullet hell, a game over screen, most likely. You'll be seeing a lot of those in Stellar Interface as you fly through randomized galaxies and collect randomized power-ups, making each journey a unique experience. And so it features over 100 perks to mix and match to optimize builds. There's over 100 missions, different spaceships for different play styles. There's a big roster of bosses. And oh yeah, there's the this is an Elite Edition, which I've talked about in the past, but these are cool. They're more of a higher tier release, I guess you could say. And this comes with it's limited edition. It looks like it's a 4,000 print run. So, and it has a serial number on the back and a certificate of authenticity inside. There's also the 24-page booklet. So, you know, we love the print materials here at Megavision. So,
yeah, I'm looking at it right now. This looks cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting take, and I will say it seems like especially on the indie scene, you get like 2 or 3 different genres a lot of times, just like kind of thrown in a blender, and you see what comes out of it. But this one's an interesting one, roguelike and bullet hell. So I will be playing this, and I am going to be doing some playthroughs and stuff on our YouTube channel. So that will be coming out hopefully later this week. As I get through that. But I did want to kind of just quickly talk about it when I had a chance. And also with these ones, they're kind of cool. You can't see it or hear it right now, but they have a metallic finish to the cover, which is kind of neat. Which kind of stands out a little bit. So you could go ahead and get this now over at vgnysoft.com, their web store there. I think it's shipping now. Go check that one out.
Yes, I'm literally looking at the page right now. It is up on there. I completely forgot they also have a bunch of Dreamcast games on there.
I was going to say, I have all of their I have a ton of their releases right here. And they're just killing it. Yeah, they got a ton of Dreamcast stuff out there. I don't know if the VMUs, they had the Hermes limited edition that came with a green VMU. I don't know if those are available anymore, if they're sold out. These guys are killing it. They're doing a good job. So, yeah, tons of stuff over there at VGNY Soft. And outside of that, I got in on some Black Friday deals. I got Atari 50 for, man, how much was it? I think I got it for like $20
I've heard that's really good.
$30 at Amazon. It is awesome. I'm just kind of really getting through it. I've only just kind of gotten through a surface level of the game, but this is like of history of Atari. You know, they have this awesome timeline that you can go through. And along that, you can play the games, you can read articles, you can look at like scans, high res scans of stuff. And there's also great interviews, and they did a great job. I think that they worked with the Video Game History Foundation to get a lot of these like high res scans, and everything just plays really well. I'll say it again, Digital Foundry. I watched an interview with them where they kind of broke down some of the just how well they do the UI and how quick the menu system is. They had someone from Digital Eclipse there talking about that. So this game is awesome, and it's a great way to kind of experience Atari and those games that just span from the 2600 all the way to the Jaguar. And there's what is the handheld system, the Lynx. They even have Lynx stuff on there. It's crazy.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and so it's a great way to jump through it. And granted, a lot of these games aren't so don't play so well anymore, and they're not the greatest experiences. So you probably only want to play them for a short amount of time, and they do a really good job of giving you, some fun ways to do that. So I got this for $30. I can't believe it. It's a brand new release, and it's already marked down at $30 for Black Friday, and who knows? It's Cyber Monday, Cyber Week, whatever they want to call it. I mean, I think they're going to be dropping deals on a lot of these games. So keep an eye out on Atari 50. You definitely should pick it up if you're interested in.
And if you can't get it now because of Christmas shopping, wait till the day after Christmas when they bring all those deals back.
Oh yeah, it'll happen. I was also able to pick up Sonic Frontiers for $30 at Walmart. That one dropped.
Hey!
Can you imagine? Half price already. I don't know if that says anything or it's just one of those deals you get on Black Friday, but I don't think it's
I talked about this. I think it's honestly that they know their market is kids and that it's coming up on Christmas and that if a parent sees a $30 Sonic game, they're going to grab it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. If they could carry that through the holidays, that'll be interesting.
It still hasn't gone up on Amazon, so I think that's the plan.
Wow. Permanent price drop. Heard it here first.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
At least I haven't seen it.
I also got Death Stranding for $10 at Best Buy, but I haven't picked that one up yet. I figured, hey, I can't. It's crazy how you can get so much of these first-party Sony games for dirt cheap if you wait and hold out for a little bit. Nintendo, nowhere near.
No.
You know what I mean? It's just so crazy. Different.
If you want a Nintendo game, you're dropping.
Yeah, and they're both Japanese-based companies with just completely different strategies there in their first-party games. So it's interesting. But yeah, I did pretty well on Black Friday. I don't know if you all bought anything for that, but I did get a few pickups. I just want to kind of mention there. With that said, let's just quickly, we're going to be wrapping up the show. We're approaching hour 46 minutes or so. Yeah, we had a lot to talk about. There was so much going on, and we have.
Damn you, Mario!
No, and you know what? It doesn't stop. There's so much going around, all around. Megavisions. There's some stuff I want to talk to you about the magazine, some important magazine stuff. So
yes.
If you're hearing this, I'm sorry, but it's probably already too late to join in on the Patreon to secure issue 3. The deadline for that is tonight. But by the time you're hearing this, it'll be too late. I apologize. But don't worry. We always print additional copies. So we'll have those available on our web store when those once we fulfill our Patreon orders. That's typically when we launch it on the web store there. So you will still be able to get it. But we are doing our Patreon preview post today, which basically means it charges our Patreon members' accounts for their whatever tiers they're subscribed to, and then we use that money to help print Megavisions. And so that will be happening tonight, and we are at the finish line with this magazine. I'll be working on the final layouts this weekend. I'm working on finishing up your Sonic Frontiers review, Alex, because we got that one finished up too. So yeah, I also wanted to talk about that really quickly. So yeah, you got your Sonic Frontiers review. Without spoiling it, overall, like, we talked a little bit about it, but what did you have to say overall in this review? What were your overall thoughts?
So I'll make it pretty quick because I'd rather people go read it. But I did really like it. I understand it's flawed. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I understand it's flawed, but this is the most excited I've felt about a Sonic game in years. And considering it is my pride and joy in terms of video game franchises, because it's the first one that ever got me into gaming, the fact that I can actually be excited about a Sonic game, about the Sonic franchise again, is enough for me. It really is.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I like I said, I only scratched the surface in that, but I'm really enjoying just how kind of chill the atmosphere is. There's a good vibe to it, and it's fun to just jump in those classic Sonic levels and stuff, and just you get a little bit of all of that, and I think they got it,
and they're not pointless,
right? Yeah, absolutely. So I think they have a good formula there, and so yeah, that review is going to be in this issue of the magazine. So I'll be finishing up that this weekend and then turning my attention towards our cover story, which is going to be a bit of a beast. The idea with that one is it's going to be more of a complex layout, more similar to kind of what we were doing with our legacy issues 7, 8, and 9. If any of our listeners remember those issues, those are the ones that Sketch was doing, basically laying out like by hand and creating in Photoshop. It was so intricate and crazy what he was doing. But we're gonna approach that, but do it in a kind of a different way that won't take me so long and everything. So that will be interesting. But I'll be digging into that this weekend and really just hoping to put the finishing touches on a lot of things and everything. So we're in the home stretch there. I'm very excited. I also wanted to quickly just throw a shout out to our friend James Tokyo. I always mess up his last name, Tachio Tokyo. I'm sorry, James. But I know him also as at GG Dreamcast online, because he also runs a really cool Dreamcast website and kind of social media platform that really just is kind of pays like homage to all things Dreamcast. And he does he's a photographer, so a lot of his stuff is just shown at a really high and art level and artistic way. He also has a web store on there where he sells just merchandise, GG Dreamcast branded stuff. And you can also get Dreamcast video games and stuff from him too. So that's really cool. But no, what he did for us though is he's been taking our kind of physical issue product photos for our web store. And he just sent us the ones for issue 2, and they look fantastic. I really love the way he adds the background coloring to the the photos and everything. I think it makes the covers just really pop and everything. So thank you, James, once again. He's such a pal to be doing that for us. But yeah, go check him out at GG Dreamcast. Search him up. I think that's pretty much where you can find him on all the various social channels there. So with that said, that wraps up my magazine updates. Alicia, do we have any reviews that we want to quickly talk about before we wrap up?
We had Evil West come out today, actually. Sorry, this morning. I published that this morning. Daniel did that for us. He was very disappointed in the game, unfortunately. So, yeah, he said that
Daniel.
he said that like the story was just kind of flat, and the combat he kept waiting to get invested in, and it was unbalanced. It just wasn't it wasn't a whole lot of fun, which is disappointing because I know I was really, really, really looking forward to this game, and I know that several of us were looking forward to it as well. But he said it's gonna scratch the itch for some people, but it just wasn't. What they showed in the trailers and stuff was not exactly what we got when it came to the final product. So we've just kind of had that lately with some games. I mean, the Chant was one of them for me that, we expected something, and then when we got it, it was not at all what was advertised. So it's just kind of frustrating, but I'm glad that, we get these reviews out so that our listeners and our readers can have an honest view of what some of the problems are with these games. And then I believe we're going to have Gungrave Gore out at some point this week, I think. We also have several minis.
Games that just don't play so well. That's another one, I think.
Oh, really? I've been one too, huh?
Dang it. I just downloaded it.
I know.
Shoot!
Yeah, it just feels a little rough. Like the combat and the shooting and everything just... But I've also heard people say that it's intentional and more akin to the like I guess the PS2 releases and stuff from that era. I don't know if that's just you're just BSing us at this point. I don't know if that's just saying like, oh, we intentionally made it bad. But that's been one of the things for it, and I haven't looked up the review scores on Metacritic, but I don't think it's been reviewing all that well. Which is a disappointment there because I was really I've been really looking forward to it, and I have been jumping into it and just a little bit. It's got a 60 on Metacritic right now, which isn't terrible.
No,
but yeah, I just felt a bit. but I'm hoping as I get further in, it opens up and maybe the combat kind of just balances itself out a little bit. But as it stands now, it just feels rough, feels, and it just seems like one of those games where you know that it's not, it didn't have the biggest budget. If
it doesn't feel finished, polished.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, that's a good word. Doesn't feel so polished, but I'll be interested to see the review though once we have that one ready.
Yeah, Roberto's working on that one right now. I will have my 100% complete for The Devil in Me out finally. I went back in to see if I could kill everybody. I know that sounds funny, but I got through. I actually went back in and did a third run. So the first run I killed off like 3 people, and then the second run I killed off only 1 and managed to save the dog. And so because of the way that the stories fold into each other, I was curious as to how far do you get in the game if you kill everybody? Because, I mean, if you don't have anybody to get to the end, does it just end? So I went back in and did that because I was also very curious because you spend a certain amount of time with certain characters. It's not balanced. The story, and that's my biggest problem actually with it, is that the story feels unfinished, like we were just talking. It's off balance because you do play a considerable amount of time as 2 of the characters who don't have the best abilities, whereas the other ones that could be much more useful are given very small roles. And it should be more equal. And so I was kind of like, okay, if I go back in and I kill off everybody, what happens? So I did that, and it makes for a very short game. It's like, all right. So, I mean, my longest playthrough was about 11 hours. My shortest playthrough was about 2. So it was like, that's funny. Now I know. That's what happens when you kill everybody. So
you gotta find out, though.
I did. Because I was really disappointed when I did my second run and I managed to save everybody but 1, and I went, okay, where does this go from here? It was just kind of, it made me curious. So yeah, I went back in and I killed everybody. And that means that you can't save the dog, but I'm going to guess that because the dog just kind of comes in like at the, almost towards the very end, that the dog's going to be fine anyway. So that's my happy thought. The dog's fine. Connie's fine. She's off somewhere. He's off somewhere. Anyway. So, we did also publish, mini reviews on Bravery and Greed, which Isaac did, and he said he absolutely loved that game. We also had Intrepid Izzy, which came out. Oh, sorry, it does not come out. Intrepid Izzy comes out next week. It's not out yet. So we actually had an early review for that, and Andy really loved that game as well. He said it was a callback to a lot of retro games, so retro platformers and side scrollers. So that was really cool. I think you have Trifox, Alex, still? Maybe? Putting you on the spot.
Yes. I'll leave it at that. Yes.
Okay.
Not to give a hint, but I'm kind of struggling.
Oh no. That's, that happens.
Yeah.
That really does. It's hard to review games when we start struggling with them.
Yeah, that's why it hasn't gotten to your desk yet.
Yeah, no, I get that. Trust me, I do. And then after we have our final stream of Finding the Soul Orb, I will be writing up the mini review for that. So, which that is an interesting little game. It's from East Asia Soft, which you've been doing quite a few from them, and I'm on the fence because it tells an interesting story in an interesting way, but the controls are extremely simplistic. And so it's like it's not a complex game to play. It's basically a walking sim where you just kind of hit these circles and it tells the story. But you do have a limited amount of combat. You use a crossbow. Your enemies rush you sometimes, but they don't really do much to you. And so it just seems to be kind of this guided tour through a story, which it's really cool. It wasn't what I expected. I do feel that they could do a little bit more with it because, like, you go into these houses and there's nothing in them. And for me, I'm the Skyrim girl. I will dig through literally everything. And so I'm like looking in all the little baskets and there's nothing here. And I'm like, okay, so I am enjoying the game, and the few that were in on my stream last week were enjoying it, which is why we're finishing up this week because they wanted to see how it ended. It's short. There's 12 chapters. We're on chapter 6, so we're halfway through. But it does kind of feel unfinished. It's approaching something awesome, but for now it's just good. So
This sounds like the medium all over again.
Maybe I don't think I played the medium. So I mean
that was Bloober Team's last game.
Oh,
and
okay.
A lot of what you're saying was a lot of my issues.
Yeah,
with it, where it had some good ideas, but it never really went for any of them.
It's not difficult. It's not a difficult game to play at all. Like I did die a couple of times because there's little puzzles that you have to do, which I have to give them credit. Their puzzles are simple, but at the same time, you have to think about things in a different perspective. So there was a puzzle that I couldn't quite figure out why I couldn't get the lever to make the bridge go down. Because I knew that was before, that was what had happened. So I'm standing on this blue, disc, and that makes the bridge go down. But the lever usually makes the bridge go down. So I actually had to backtrack and then come back and look at it at a different perspective to actually figure out, okay, if I stand on that and then I hit the lever with my crossbow, the bridge goes down and stays. And so it wasn't a tough puzzle, but it was something that caused me to think a bit differently. And so I have to give them credit for that. The puzzles aren't completely straightforward. They do require a little bit of looking at it kind of sideways and figuring out how that works. And the story is engaging. I'm very interested in what's going on with the soul orb and the evil wizard and the town that's starving. And I mean, there's just this, this medieval fantasy thing that's going on. But at the same time, it still feels like there could be a little bit, it's kind of open world. There could be a little bit more exploration to it, or a little bit more, maybe a little bit of crafting so that you can upgrade your crossbow or just something like that. It just feels like it's missing something. So, I mean, I would definitely recommend it. It's not very expensive. I think it's like $4. It's not going to break your bank or anything. But I would like to see, because it is an exclusive for East Asia, I would like to see them do maybe a little bit more when they decide to handle this kind of game again. So, and then
maybe they could do like stellar interface and add make it like a bullet hell. Also add that, or maybe a roguelike.
A bullet hell. How am I going to fight a bullet hell with a crossbow?
There's ways.
There's ways. Do I have to fight the gargoyles and the werewolves still too? Do they have the?
Have you ever played Enter the Gungeon? There's ways.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, Enter the Gungeon. There you go. And I never play those games because I suck at them. So I'm well aware of my limitations in that, and those games are definitely it. So, and then because we were talking about streaming, you played Sonic Frontiers last night. And then Drail will be playing The Night Witch on Friday. There's actually a bit of a funny with this. So I got this emergency urgent email earlier this week that was like, if you have the consoles, don't play it. And I was what is going on? So immediately I was like, I got a hold of Isaac and I'm like, I don't remember. Did I give you the console or the PC? And he's like, it's the PC. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. So the glitch on consoles. Glitch on consoles was making her speed up super fast.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
she'd go through, because it's got this kind of like a platformer sort of thing, and she'd go through different areas, and apparently she Sonicked through them, and it was happening repeatedly on console. And so they were like, don't play it, we're sitting on a patch, just hold on. And I was like, yeah, but now I want to see that. I want to see
you
this.
Want to play it now. That's what everyone wants to do.
I want to play it now. I want to see her zoom across the screen. And apparently, because it understood its boundaries, she'd bounce off the side of the screen. This
That's
is
funny.
awesome.
I see. It seems like I always try to talk about Dread Delusion around this time in the podcast, but I will talk about Dread Delusion because they had a similar glitch that happened in their game. They were telling me about where you could stack speed spells and it would just make you go continually faster and faster and faster, where you're just zooming around the whole map. And they decided to keep it in and make it like an unlockable thing. So I think stuff like that is fun. I hope that maybe because of this, if it becomes like a thing, maybe they'll go ahead and add it in later on as like a fun option or something that you could do. But that's funny. So. That is funny.
So unfortunately, we won't get to see that Friday because he has the PC version of it. But
too bad.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, is that all we got going around on the stream side of things?
Yeah, that we have ended. This was our last week for the Indie Showcase, so thank you everybody for coming out. And I am already looking at next year to see what we can do for bigger and better. I have some contacts that I'm making that I'm not going to talk about right now, but if they come through, we are in for some really cool stuff. So really looking forward to that, but we will see everybody next year. We're going to take it easy for December.
Yeah.
It's time for Christmas games.
Ooh, that was fun. That will be fun. So
I don't have any
I just want to. Well, there's the Grinch on Dreamcast you could play.
Don't make me do it again.
I don't have Dreamcast, so I can't play that game. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I can't play that game.
Look, I played it for Waze last year. Let's leave it at that. And it still was a miserable time.
We won't bring it back. We promise. So
I was laughing because Corey was like, damn, you're committed. How do you keep doing this?
Why are you doing this? That's funny. I do also want to just remind everyone to keep visiting the website where we're just continually publishing news, reviews, and previews on upcoming games. And you can also go and subscribe from there to our newsletter where that is just a great way just to keep up with all things Megavisions. It comes out maybe once or twice a month. And it has basically all the links and basically a breakdown of our various channels. And it's also a good way to get some sneak peeks at future Megavisions issues where we do some preview layouts and stuff like that you really only get to see if you're either a Patreon supporter or if you subscribe to the newsletter. So be sure to do that. And we promise we won't spam you or share your details with any of those weird third-party creepers out there that like to do that. So we won't do that. We'll only send you the Sega and Nintendo and retro goodness news. So we promise. Outside of that, just be sure to follow us on social media. We're out there on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we do have some future plans for TikTok that I'm really excited about. So we will end up doing that. On the flip side of that, though, I wanted to ask you guys if you wanted to share your any of your social details out there to let the folks listen and know where they can follow you.
I'm at the Had a Gamer on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Also on Twitch, I do my own channel. I was doing a football pick'em show for the last couple weeks, and it's we started at the beginning of the season, and it's been off the last couple weeks, but we're probably bringing it back this week. I need to iron that out. But I also stream retro stuff. I have a lot of stuff planned for the holiday season, including a charity stream that I'm doing for my parents' charity. So, yeah, go give those a follow.
Nice.
You'll get to see how weird and stupid I really am.
Alicia, do you because you also stream on your personal channel sometimes, too. Do you want to throw that out there?
Yeah, so I'm Raven's Quills on Twitch, and I've actually been on hiatus. However, I am rebranding, and I'm super pumped about some of the things that I'm doing for my channel, including a webcam. Right? So,
Oh, I was saying it's all Willow. It's gonna be an all Willow stream.
Oh, Willow. Well, actually, I have a mask coming, and I'm super excited because I have a cowl and a hood and a mask, and so you won't actually get to see like my face, but you will see my face. And so yes, I would fit in with Willow.
All right, hey, that sounds fun.
So
And then,
I do.
Maybe we'll roll out with the video version of the podcast eventually too.
See, that was part of my plan. I was like, if you're going to put me on camera, I got to choose how I look on camera. So
Hey, I dig it.
So, yep, super excited about that. I do horror games, I do indie games, and I also have a So Chill Saturday, which is a family-friendly stream where we play a game that's just chill and laid back, and I encourage people to come bring their kids. I make sure that my chat is family-friendly during that time. And we play games that typically, I've made a few bad decisions a couple times, but are typically not heartbreaking and won't make your kid have nightmares. So, so
I'm just imagining this now.
Look up The Lost Word Beyond the Page, and that was the last So Chill that I did.
This already sounds bad.
So subscribe for all of your family-friendly horror needs. This is what you're saying.
Well, actually, I have a dedicated horror night, so because I want to make sure that people don't accidentally, I don't want to expose little ones to horror games, but
awesome. Okay, yeah.
Hey kids, welcome to Wholesome Fun Time. Now let's start Resident Evil.
No, I did White Knight.
With the parents, it's the PS1 version.
Oh god.
It's just blocks. They won't know.
Actually, I've been doing the Black Book on that channel on that night, so that one's been pretty cool for that. Even TJ could handle that one. So
nice. Okay, well, I will say this. I just want to encourage our listeners to check out our Patreon over at www.patreon.com/megavisions, where you can subscribe for a physical or digital edition of Megavisions magazine. And I'll say this: if you subscribe to at the physical tier, you automatically get the digital edition free too. We just throw it in for all of our print subscribers. So you got that too. It's an added bonus. We publish quarterly. I know we haven't been, but we're getting this train a rolling again, and we're getting this quarterly thing going. Issue 3 is going to be shipping very soon. Like I said, putting the finishing touches on that. And yeah, we're just excited. So please go and support Megavisions at our Patreon today. So yeah, this has been a good one. So much to talk about. There's so much happening. It's cool to see just the meld between video games and movies and TV and everything else. We are really living the good life in terms of just entertainment and everything at our fingertips. It's been awesome. With that said, we are going to wrap it up. Thanks again, Sam, Alicia, and Alex for joining the show. It's been a lot of fun.
Of course. Happy to be on. And now I got to go eat because I'm very hungry.
Same. All right. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening and be safe. Thank you.